What is up, my ducks and drakes? Welcome to the Crowded Lake, and today we're going to be reading the first chapter of What is Purple Without Blue by Lunar68Eclipse on Wattpad. If you'd like to check out the book for yourself or this amazing author, go ahead and do so with the links in the description. The description of the book reads, "Long ago, when the Sides were younger, Virgil and Logan were brothers, always playing with king creativity. They loved and cared for one another, but when the king fell, it all came to ruin. Trigger warnings for fighting, blood, and unsympathetic Patton." I really encourage you to support this author if you can. They recommended their own works, and I am super excited to be supporting them. With that being said, here is Chapter 1, The Beginning. "Come on, Virgil, it's time to have lunch." Look, the smaller boy smiled as he showed his older brother a spider plushie that the king made. "What are you naming it?" Logan asked, a small smile pricking on his face. Ooh, Amy." "Alright then, Amy it is. Now, come on, Patton is waiting for us." Virgil's smile fell. Patton never really liked Virgil. He always thought he hurt Thomas and that he shouldn't be so bad. Janice always came to the rescue, though. He explained how anxiety is more than just an issue, but a masterpiece in disguise. Logan wanted to help too, but he was afraid. Patton was bubbly and had a dad-like personality, but on the inside... Logan didn't want to know what that looked like. Not until months later, on Thomas's 13th birthday. "It's time. Get the king and Virgil," Patton demanded, looking at Janice with a blank expression. "What does Virgil have to do with any of this? He's only 5, Janice shouted at the softer side. "Get him," Patton said, his eyes turning bright blue and his voice doubled. Janice fell to his knees. I thought we wouldn't use our powers on each other," Patton asked. "Oh, kiddo, desperate times call for desperate measures. Now, get them. We're almost too late." Janice could only nod. He hated how one of his sons would be used for something. He had originally told Logan to protect himself and his brother today, but now he doesn't know what to do. When he recovered shortly after being put under Patton's influence, he got up and went to the king's room. The king was only a little older than Logan. Logan was 13, same as Thomas, and the king was 14, being how much creativity was in the host. "It's time," Janice said, looking down. "You look terrible. JJ, what happened?" "Nothing you need to worry about. Come on, let's go." When I split, will I keep my memory?" "I don't know. But let's hope." When they got there, Patton's smile dropped. "Where is anxiety?" "He has a name, and I was about to go get him." Realization came to the king's face as he grimaced. "What does Virgil have to do with any of this? I thought it was just me," King shouted at Patton, who only looked at him annoyed. "I have my reasons to want him." "You better tell me then." "I don't have to tell you anything. The only reason I told you were getting split is because Janice wanted you to enjoy your last months." The king swiftly turned to Janice. He was gone. With Janice, he knocked on the older brother's door, and soon a smaller voice answered. "Papa," called out, and he soon heard a pitter-patter of little feet, and the door swung open. How did it go?" asked Logan, sitting on the bed. His eyes were red and puffy. Even though him and the king were opposites, He still had a great fondness for the king. It hadn't happened yet, Jenna said, picking up the smaller side. What do you mean? Why have you come here then? Logan questioned, standing up and swiftly walked over to the two. Patton demanded I bring Virgil, Janice muttered, color drained from Logan's face. There was no logical reason to have his brother go to such a ceremony. In fact, the events what will occur will probably make Virgil scared of the two older sides, if anything, and he will probably think that the king died. No, he can't go. Do you know any of the setbacks that could happen? Logan protested, trying to get Virgil out of Janice's grip. Logan, I'm sorry, Janice said, his eyes misty. Logan couldn't hear it. He just wanted to protect his brother. That was until... Logan, go to bed and sleep, Janice said, his eyes bright yellow and tears streaming down his face. Logan, now with the same yellow hue, did as the older side asked and tucked himself into bed and drifted off into slumber. Janice closed the door and turned the lights off. Virgil perked up and saw that he was crying. Papa? Virgil asked, running his small hand over one side's scales. Janice looked down and managed a smile. I'm okay, little one, Janice managed to say without breaking down. He slowly moved away from the logical side's door and made it to the splitting ceremony. Patton looked very mad, and so did the king. When the door opened, they both looked at the two. Patton's anger grew, yet the king looked worried. He saw Janice crying, and Virgil hugged him. No, did you have to? The king asked, his eyes also welling up. Janice only nodded. Come on, we have a deadline here, Patton yelled, annoyed. Janice put Virgil down, and he begrudgingly went to his spot. The king and Patton were already at theirs. Soon it began. The two older sides' eyes turned white, and the king began to float in the air. Virgil looked at him and smiled, thinking this was just another game him and the king played. Soon, swirls of green and red came circling around the king as he started to scream. Virgil now looked petrified. He huddled up in a corner, crying, covering his ears. He couldn't help but watch as he saw his friend getting pulled apart. Virgil screamed to himself, and that caught the attention of two sides. One of Janice's eyes turned normal as he heard it, and he looked over to see his younger son staring in horror with tears streaming down his face. And Logan. He woken from his slumber, and he was groggy, but quickly recovered. He ran out of his room and went to the ceremony. He tried to open the door, but it was locked. He started to bang on it. The ceremony faltered as one of the sides was not paying enough attention. As the king fully split and fell, Patton and Janice's eyes turned to normal. Patton looked over at Janice, furious. What do you think you were doing? Patton yelled, but Janice wasn't paying attention. He was looking back and forth between the now two new sides and Virgil. One of the new sides quickly opened their eyes and shot up. He wore black and green. He quickly looked over at Janice, making eye contact. JJ? He said. Patton and Janice looked shocked. They both knew that they shouldn't remember the past, yet here he was. The darker side quickly, yet wobbly, got up and ran to hug him. Hi, Janice managed to say. The darker side's head shut up and turned to Virgil, who was frozen. He looked terrified and sad. The darker side walked over to him and hugged him. Hey, it's all right. I'm here. You're okay, the darker side said. Virgil quickly melted into the embrace, remembering it too well. The tight reassurance feeling he got. It was the same as the king's. Virgil looked up at the darker side, and his eyes widened, remembering the face slightly. He hugged him back as tightly as he could. His arms couldn't even reach fully around. Janice regained his composure and opened the door. Logan ran into the room and saw what has happened. He looked at Janice and hugged him. Logan wasn't a touchy person, but now he needed it. He needed it so much. Something told him to hold on to someone to rely on. It's going to be okay, Janice mumbled, stroking the younger boy's hair. We're going to be okay. Soon enough, the new side awoke. He was lighter than the other one, wearing white and red. The darker one noticed and looked at him. Their eyes locked. He let go of Virgil and went to him. Hi, said the lighter one, still looking at his darker counterpart. I'm Roman, he said. Remus, the other one responded. This is all fun and games, but, said the lighter side in the corner. His hand moved up with a light blue aura around it. All the sides turned to him. A yelp could be heard as Virgil was lifted up and swung to Patton's hand. Don't touch him, Remus said. Roman looked confused. Oh, it's not going to hurt, Patton yelled. At least not me. Janice and Logan quickly took action, running over to the two, but as soon as they started, they stopped. They froze. Let us go, Logan shouted at the lighter side. Patton, you've gone too far, Janice remarked, struggling to break free. Patton returned his attention to Virgil, who looked confused. Pa? He asked, not knowing why he was holding him. Janice never let Patton hold Virgil before, and now he felt tense. Usually he felt a sense of comfort when the others held him, but with Patton he felt all the pent-up rage and anger that was coursing through the side. Patton used his free hand and placed it on Virgil's head. Janice's face drained of color. No, don't you dare, he shouted. Patton didn't listen. He has hurt our host for long enough, Patton announced, using his power on the younger side. Virgil immediately grew limp. In a dreamlike state, Patton raised his hand, and it looked like he was pulling something out of Virgil's head. Patton, no, Janice screamed. Logan knew what was happening, and he stood there frozen. He couldn't do anything but watch. Remus wanted to help as well, but the same spell was put on the two new sides. Roman, we need to help him, Remus yelled. Roman looked confused, but he quickly realized the intensity of the situation. How? He asked. I don't know, Remus responded, tears welling up in his eyes. Soon enough it was done. A glowing ball of purple was in Patton's hand. Virgil was now drained of any color he had. There. He should stay like this until Thomas turns 15, Patton said, dropping the spell and dropping Virgil. Roman quickly ran and grabbed him before he hit the ground. Patton sinked out before anyone could confront him. Thank you all so much for listening. If you'd like to support this author, like I said, the links to the book and to the author's Wattpad will be in the description below. If you'd like to support me, then subscribe, obviously, but you could also click any of the links in the description to support me on social media, especially my YouTube, Instagram, which will be getting an update within the next couple months. I am super excited for the future of this channel because I've been working really hard on some updates. With that being said, thank you for watching, and much like Roman trying to figure out what's going on, do your best.